Hi, Clay.
Hi. That was
I just had some root beer. And I don't drink caffeine, so for those of you who know me, once I have a root beer, look out! I am so excited to be here with you today because
I am always excited to be with you.
I got a story for you.
Oh, good.
You know, fundraising is funny, right?
Fundraising is hilarious.
Until it happens to you.
Yes.
And then it's so funny. So,
what happened?
Well, let's talk events.
I need to go.
No. It's like when you're at a board meeting and your board member's like, let's have a golf tournament. And you're like, no.
Do you remember, and I told you that my first job in fundraising was as a grant writer?
Yes.
Did I also tell you it was a split job between writing grants and doing special events?
That sounds like
how do those two things go together?
Recipe for mental health resources, if you know what I mean.
I mean, I learned a lot, but
did you cry a lot?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
I've done many events and in my career, so I want to tell you this story, and this is like true confessions, you know, I've told this story, I think 5 or 6 times, public, privately, and then at a bar many times.
Okay.
Because, you know, that's kind of this podcast. We're at a bar, you're a fundraiser.
Yeah.
You know, you can have root beer. You don't have to be drinking to be at a bar.
We're in a social gathering.
Eating wangs.
Whether it's
snacks.
Exactly.
Right. We're in a social space.
Yes.
And we're telling like our best fundraising stories because that happens, right? Like you guys are not going to believe this. So.
Right. And nobody understands that like other fundraisers do. God.
Well, this one's for the event professionals and fundraisers and all of us.
Bless
you know, events, things that you get paid to go to, but you'd rather not.
They're very special.
Why do we call them special events?
We call them special
events? Are there ordinary events?
Add that to the jargons and tomfoolery.
It's been there.
Yeah.
We're going to have that episode. That's called Jargons, Consultants, and Other Tomfoolery.
Ooh, I like
Can't wait for you guys to hear that event, that podcast. Special events, as opposed to
unspecial events.
Ordinary. Major gifts as opposed to minor gifts.
Can we start operationalizing in the sector mundane events?
Yes.
Kind of meh events.
Melancholy, if you will. kind of like, well, there's
not
cheese.
So special.
There's cheese.
There's cheese.
We hope it doesn't sweat. Oh, yeah. So speaking of sweaty cheese, I have this event and I didn't have it. Of course, the institution that I was working for did. And it was to open the president's home. The donors had stepped up and there was no home on campus for the president at the time. And so they built, Of course. Amazing mansion.
Of course.
And half of it was entertaining space and the other half was refrigerators, I felt like. There were so many beautiful refrigerators in that home. And we opened the home on a beautiful day and we invited all the top donors, of course. And one of my favorite donors came to the event and she came to every event. I mean, she came to the opening of a barn door if you'd have one because she loved free food. I mean, now she was a wonderful woman. Her name was Betty and very generous, but at her age didn't really have much, like her social life was going to charity events basically and, you know, drinking at 3 p.m. because
I've met Betty many times in many different cities.
Now, Betty had this.
love her.
She 2 passions, red lipstick, red nails, charity, 3 passions, and chocolate cake.
I like Betty.
Betty's a kick-ass woman.
Yeah.
Right? She gave money away. She ate chocolate cake and she had red fingernails and lipstick.
I kind of sort of want to be Betty.
Sometimes it was on her teeth.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. I know Betty.
So Betty lived at the local assisted living place. And they always came over to our events because.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So Betty came to the opening of the president's home, and I had to come up with a gift for everyone who came through the doors. I don't know why we give stuff away at events because we've already fed you and drank you. But there's this weird, stupid culture of also giving things away.
Well,
I'm really opposed to it. However, that's not what we're talking about. So I decided that since we were opening a home and one of the things you want in a home is for it to smell good, I went and had a local person custom make potpourri.
Okay.
And we were in Florida, so it had like orange rinds and cinnamon sticks and palm bark.
I
And
love it when you say Florida and your southern accent slips out.
all right, I'll work on that.
No, don't. It's beautiful.
I'm from South Carolina. So, and Georgia. And, all right. Well, long story. Yeah. Anyway, so I had this beautiful potpourri made, scents of orange blossom, beautiful stuff. And I had a clear cello bag wrapped with a beautiful bow, and everybody who came was going to leave with potpourri from their home. So their home would smell like the president's home.
I love that. Actually, if you're going to give something away, that's a really lovely thing.
Right. It's consumable in terms of, like it'll go into your home. And I stole the idea because at Ritz-Carlton's, each Ritz-Carlton in the world has a signature scent. And you can buy a candle in that Ritz-Carlton of their signature scent and burn it in your home. Not burn your home, but, well, if you want to live in the Ritz-Carlton, it's a good way. But burn it in your home, and then your home will smell like Ritz-Carlton, and you'll think you're fancy.
I mean, I'm just happy when my home smells close to like a DoubleTree for the cookies. But okay, I'll take your word on the Ritz. I'm
a fancy girl sometimes.
Yeah, no.
So
I mean, Hilton Garden Inns, trust me, do not have their own signature. Well, some of them do.
Motel 6 has a signature scent. I tell you that.
Yeah.
Leave that light on.
Leave that light on.
Woo, doggy. So I have the potpourri. I have it all prepackaged. I had some left over. So I went to the caterer and said, hey, can you give me one of those silver bowls you have?
No.
And I put it in the silver bowl and put it out and around the home so that it would make the home smell good, of course. So fast forward 45 minutes into the event, I look over and see my vice president, big boss, meaning boss. And she is pale gray. Now, the normal look of the woman is not pale gray. She's a beautiful Southern belle, steel magnolia, the best vice president I ever had. She made fundraising amazing, blah, blah, blah. I love the woman. She's pale gray and she's staring, concerned. And I'm like, oh God. So I follow her gaze and I see Betty and I'm thrilled. Standing at one of my potpourri troughs.
Troughs? No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Tell me she didn't.
She did. She had grabbed the potpourri.
No.
Like I grab Muddy Buddies. Muddy Buddies, Puppy Chow.
Yeah.
And she was popping it back.
No.
Like it was movie theater popcorn and she was watching Tom Cruise in, Mission Impossible.
Was that... okay, so you mentioned...
Crunch a muncher.
Oh, do you remember that Munch and Crunch?
Oh, Crunch and Munch. Moose Munch?
Moose Munch.
Snacks. We could get distracted by snacks. So there is Betty knocking back potpourri like it is honey roasted peanuts.
Was this the kind of potpourri that had like the little dried flower leaves and stuff like that?
I had it custom made. It had orange rind in it. That was the mistake.
Well, I mean, I can see orange rind, but like, how do you look at a bowl full of like dried rose petals?
Maybe her vision was going, Clay, be kind. Okay. So Betty is munching. My vice president is dying. And I'm like, well, I'm fired because the big donor's eating potpourri at my event. This could end my career. I'm, a year removed from working at Disney World. They're going to send me back to the rat.
I mean, working at Disney World is not a bad thing.
No, but they're going to send me back to the rat. Do you know how hot it is?
Yeah.
At Disney World? Outside? They're going to make me work outside again. So Betty is there munching. I immediately take action. I didn't run away. That was the immediate reaction I wanted. I walk over to Betty and I'm like, well, hello. Isn't it wonderful to see you? She's whacking away. Gin and tonic in one hand, potpourri in the other. This is a lovely event, Lynn. Blah, 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 blah. Betty, do you know what? No, tell me. I have chocolate cake. I knew how much Betty loved our caterer's chocolate cake. And she had lipstick and potpourri in her teeth. And I thought, I've got to get this woman away from this bowl of potpourri. So I distract her and I say, come with me. There's chocolate cake. Well, the dessert hasn't been put out yet. No, but Betty, I'm going to sneak you a piece before anyone else. You got to know the way to your donor's hearts.
Well, yeah.
So I immediately drag Betty, not cordially, not nicely, but basically I've got the firm grip on her arm that your mom had at the supermarket when you did something bad.
Yep, I know that grip.
Yep. And I'm like, come with me, Betty. But I really didn't. But I was like, please come with me, Betty. So Betty and I go and I get her the biggest slice of chocolate cake I can find. Mm-hmm. And she's thrilled. Her gin and tonic is going down. The chocolate cake is going down. There's no more potpourri going down. But that's not the end of the story.
Oh, gosh.
So we're going to grab a snack, maybe some chocolate cake.
Well, you've put me in the mind of chocolate cake now. So.
Right. And a glass of milk, maybe, instead of a gin and tonic.
Yeah, I don't drink milk, but yeah.
Oh, well, I love a milk. So we'll be back and I'll finish the story and we'll talk about what it means for fundraising. Hey, Clay, how was that chocolate cake?
I did not have chocolate cake.
Did you have potpourri?
No.
Chex Mix?
No. My body is a temple. I had something very healthy and right.
So Cheetos, puff Cheetos.
You know me too well.
Yes. So we're back and we're talking about funny things that happen at events. So catch up, my donor Betty has just eaten potpourri by the 2 handfuls. And now I've distracted her with chocolate cake because I know my donor and I know she likes chocolate cake. So that's a good thing. So then I go on, Betty is going to die watch for the rest of the event. And everywhere Betty goes, I do. I'm like right behind her, waiting for her to just keel over. Because who eats potpourri and survives?
Well, again, I go back to, what was in the potpourri.
But I don't know if they put like chemicals in it. Like, is there rat stuff or like formaldehyde or like, how do you make it smell good?
I don't know. And it stays smelling good.
Right. For a while.
I need to find this out now.
But people are Googling.
Okay, good.
Right now, people are Googling the answer.
Right.
Like our audience is like, how do you make potpourri?
How do you make potpourri?
And then there's the other product, potpourri, which we're not bringing up this episode.
Talk about that. There's one of those things that you never really think about.
But you've had something embarrassing happening at your events, I'm sure. Like nothing like Betty eating potpourri.
Gosh.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I go on Death Watch and I think, well, does she have a planned gift?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I watch her. Not only does Betty survive the day and the event, she has a great time.
Of course.
She lives another 16 years.
With God bless her.
So apparently she either rotted her gut with gin or potpourri ain't the weirdest thing Betty's eaten in her life. When you're rich, you're eccentric. You're not weird.
Yeah, but
right?
Betty in every city. Everybody knows Betty. Everybody has a Betty.
Every day.
The best stories.
I called Betty every day for a week.
Yeah.
To make sure Betty was still living with us.
Yeah.
And my vice president, and by the way, did I mention that when I brought Betty to the back to eat the chocolate cake, I went into military mode and started doing hand signals to the caterers like we were on some sort of mission. There was pointing, there was bowl, because I didn't want anybody else to fall for the prank that apparently I had put Betty through, which is, let's see how many people will eat potpourri. All that to say is that Betty ate potpourri, and I learned a lot from that about events. Number one, don't put out anything that's not edible.
That isn't clearly
edible.
Inedible. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Like garnish. Don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, things are going to happen, right? And
things happen all the time.
But what's the punchline here? What are we saying here? Fundraising is funny.
Funny's funny. So there's a couple punchlines here. I mean, sometimes some of our episodes aren't necessarily learning lessons as much as they are. This is too good not to share. But here's a couple of things I learned. Number one, getting to know your donors and their preferences is important. Yeah. I distracted her from the tree bark with the chocolate cake. Right? Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah.
So knowing that she had a preference.
Yeah.
Number two, stay calm when things go bad.
Yeah.
If your vice president turns gray, there's probably a reason. So go check that out. But stay calm. I've had a pot of shrimp roll down a hill. I've had all kinds of things happen during events. And
wait. A pot of shrimp?
It was a tailgate. It was a low country boil, and it slid off the burner and rolled down a hill.
I can't.
I
can't.
I was mad about the shrimp being wasted.
Well, yeah.
I wanted to be like, running after it with a basket. But I also didn't want to get burned. I mean, I've had so many golf cart accidents. We can't. That's an episode unto itself. Lynn, golf cart driving.
The other thing that I'm thinking of too is, clearly you were in tune with your VP.
Yes.
So there was part of you that's, running this event and you've got your eye on.
Well, her satisfaction is my mission.
Well, no, sure. But I think the point there too is, right, every staff member that's there has a role, has an understanding, expectations are clear, and you're so in sync that you can look up and just know something's off. We can take care of this without making a big fuss about it.
Right. Rolling with the punches or rolling with the potpourri, as we say. Rolling with the potpourri.
No, we're getting T-shirts.
I like a pun.
We're getting T-shirts. We're going to get T-shirts that say rolling with the shrimp boil.
I'm going to have a T-shirt that says, keep your hands off my potpourri. Stop eating my potpourri.
And hashtag God bless Betty.
Hashtag live like Betty.
Live like Betty.
Yes.
Yeah.
So keeping calm, knowing your vice president, knowing your leadership. There's other things, right?
Well, and maybe our donors aren't as wound up about the things as we are.
Here's what makes
potpourri's extreme.
But here's what makes me laugh about all this, right? Yeah. Have you ever been in a situation where, they're like, oh, donors are coming. We have to be fancy. And, we think these billionaires are all like stuffed up with caviar and foie gras and other things we can't pronounce, filet mignon and things like that. Ouverduvers, as my dad calls hors d'oeuvres, because he can't pronounce it or spell Mr. it. Western. But here's the thing. I got a woman worth tons of millions of dollars eating potpourri. She ain't that fancy. She puts on her pants same way I do.
Donors are just
people. They're not just people. They're just people.
And they're
amazing.
We are all in this together.
Yes.
The donor, us as the staff.
I'm here to save a life.
Team, our teachers, all of that, and the benefit. It is all an equal balance of all of us doing this important stuff.
And this together. Is why I watch a lot of ER and Grey's Anatomy too, because I had a donor who ate potpourri and I was ready. Like, do I need a Heimlich? You got to be prepared, folks. And I'd say that with tongue in cheek, but also.
And now our entire listeners are Googling, what do I do if I accidentally eat potpourri?
But also, are you prepared? It's a modern world. Do you know how to use an AED? Are you CPR certified? Staying alive. And that is not just my bad singing. That is the beat of CPR, right? So, all this to say, fundraising is funny.
Fundraising is funny.
Do you know what I did that night after all that was over?
Tell me. You went home and ate potpourri and ranch dip, didn't you?
No, I did not dip my potpourri, but I took a chocolate cake, a whole one home. And I ate it with a fork. Didn't even cut it in slices. Just ate it with a fork.
Every once in a while.
In honor of Betty. So Betty lasted 16 more years.
Bless her.
I found out. So end of the story is I found out she passed away and she had a very generous planned gift. And when I found out she passed away, I went to the grocery store and got a slice of chocolate cake and ate it in her honor.
Oh, that's lovely.
Right?
Yeah.
Because she's a great woman.
Well, here's to Betty.
Here's to Betty. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. If you want to tell us your favorite donor event story, something that happened at your events that you can't believe, something where you're like, I survived that event and can't believe it, go to fundraisingisfunny.com and share with us. And if you've ever eaten potpourri, share with us. But we have an advisory here from our attorneys that say, please do not eat potpourri. We cannot guarantee your survival.
Yes, exactly. We do not endorse or promote eating of potpourri at events, special or otherwise.
Or mundane.
Mundane, yes.
Thank you for joining us.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.